Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Kim with Creative Crafticality, and today I have two new journals to show you. They are a beach themed or summer swimming theme called Little Swimmers. And so I'll just go ahead and get started. They're both made using a Rand McNally book called Little Swimmers, and I used the cover and all the pages inside. And then I added this yellow polka dot fabric on the spine, and on the back this vintage floral, like a calico fabric. And then I have this fabric that was from a chindi rug, so that is tying it up, and this is completely removable. They each have 3 signatures and a fun tassel on the spine. This one has a little bit of damage here, so I asked my husband and my daughter both what they thought, if I should try and cover that with something or just leave it, and they said they thought it was just minimal, so I'm just going to leave it for now. Whoever purchases this can cover it up if they want to. I was trying to think of, I couldn't think like anything I put on there just looked like way too much, so I just decided to leave it. But still, in my mind, it looks fine. So anyways, let's just go ahead and open this up. If you have ever had a Rand McNally book, the inside covers have part of the book page attached, so I left the inside. Normally I cover these and add pockets to them, but I just left those. And then I used some of my scrapbook paper I had in my stash, as well as a really fun vintage digital kit that I printed out. And I'll put the link for this down below from the Etsy shop, so you'll know all the information. So this is just a little pocket. I made an altered tag. This is like a sales or an inventory tag, I think. And then I had some vintage wallpaper. It was like a wallpaper sample, and then a die cut from one of my scrapbook collections. I sewed some of the fabric on the side into a ruffle, and then on this side is another pocket. I stamped some under the sea animals, or like fish and a seahorse and a lobster, onto a paint chip, and then I added paper on the back. This has, I was going to cover that, and I think I will definitely cover that with some scrapbook paper or something. But here is the first page of the actual book. I have some vintage composition handwriting paper. I did some stamping throughout, and I added washi tape. This is a vintage seashell book. I made a little side pocket here, and then I stamped a sun on this note card. I have some tea-stained paper. Added a little tab there. This book page has a little cut here. So this is like, I mean, I'm upcycling these books. So this one has an altered paper clip, and I have a cut apart here, and I just stamped pool on there. Added some Monopoly money. This is another vintage kids book page. I used lots of different book pages in here. This one was a ocean themed book, and it was an empty, pretty white page. So we made this in the previous video. If you haven't seen that, we made a couple different embellishments. So here's the tag. This has a little cut apart in there. And then this is a pocket made from a business envelope that has the clear acetate on it. So those are in there. Another vintage book here with some ocean pictures of fish and seahorse. This is a really cute book. This one is from, oh, what is the name of that? It's a children's book that has like poems and things in it. I sewed in different trims and rickrack along the side of several of the pages. This is some vintage like stretchy trim that has, oh, what is this called? I can't remember what that's called, but you see it on like older vintage dresses, the top part. It just left my brain. Then there's this journaling card here with some seashells. There's a little side pocket. I have a journaling card in there. This was a sticker that was in some of my scrapbooking supplies. I have a vintage 90s pog of a fish there. And this book has just really beautiful illustrations in it. There's another tuck, and I altered a bingo card. And on this side, I have a little blue notebook paper, and I stamped Summer at the Beach at the top with some flip-flops. Over here is a little tuck spot, and I added a vintage fish. It's one of the card collections of vintage. There's like vintage animals and fish and birds and things like that. So that's in there. This is some fun vintage trim. And this is also, this page is a little side pocket. Here's a belly band that I have a journaling card. I added a wave sticker down below here. And then this is a lunch sack, and I made it into a little tuck. This is a journaling card or a cut apart that I stamped a fish on there. Then I added a cut apart on that part. Another little cut apart there. This is a page made from a napkin, so I just sewed it around the edges. Here's another vintage shell book. And this is a vintage coloring book page. It didn't have fish on the back part, but I still really like that side there. This is a little flannelgram or flannel graph image of a little picnic. I had picked up a whole little baggie full of these at a thrift store or something, so they had different themes in there, so I went through them and found the summer type themes. So you'll see another one of those in here somewhere. Here's some tickets, and then this is a kid's book of like crafts, and it had some water themed shell and fish themed crafts in there. Here's another vintage coloring book page of some crabs, and then there's the Golden Gate Bridge on that side. And here are the other sides to these. Here's the other side of the lunch sack, and I made this pocket. This was one of the printable, a part of the printable digital kit that I had, and then there's this tag in there. So that's just a little pocket, and then on the side I put a flashcard. And then on the other side here is just a little shell cut apart. And then I added another little cut apart there, made that into a little pocket. And then here's the other part of that vintage wallpaper sample. Here's a belly band, and then I added another vintage animal card with, it's a cephalospis fish with a head shield. It's one of the first fishes ever to live on Earth. Wow. And then in here I stamped onto another paint sample card. And the name of that color blue is called Sea Frolic. Here is another, this was a part of the digital collection, and it has the she sells seashells by the seashore verse on there, or poem on there. And there's another little journaling card, and then over here I have a pocket and then a flashcard of a fish, and then I sewed some of the fabric on the side there. On the back I have another pocket that has a journaling card and Monopoly money. On this page I stamped a fish, and then here is a little side pocket with the pages, and then an altered tag there. This was a sticker from the Dollar Tree. And then I have this really fun adult coloring book page with fish on, like lots of fish on one side and then a big fish on the other side. This is some vintage grid paper with pom-pom trim. And then I have a couple pages that I sewed together of some sheet music. And on this side, there's a song called The Waves Are Rolling Down the Shore and Gather Shells and Pebbles. And then on this side is Oh Seashells Sing of Rolling Waves. And it has this really cute illustration at the bottom. I'll show you the other side when we get to that point. Up here is another altered paper clip with another flannel graph piece of a piece of watermelon. It kind of looks like it flattened out, and I'm not quite sure why it's like that, unless that's like on a plate or something. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's just the whole slice there. I don't know. Some tickets and another shell book page. Here is another couple book pages that I made little pockets because the other side I didn't like the other side didn't have very good images, so that just has a journaling card in there. And then there's this one with the gulls on the side, and then this little girl with the sand castle. Over here I glued on this little envelope. This was in the digital collection, and then I added a couple little labels in there. And then this you can tuck stuff in. It's just glued at the top and the bottom and the end there. And then here is the other music sheet, and then this one says My Sunlight up at the top. Over here, Santa Lucia and Juanita. I'm not sure what those are. Oh goodness, sorry about that. I am awake. Just had to yawn. Okay, here it's some fun flannel, or not flannel, but felt trim that I had in my stash. Flowers and little ladybugs. And then here's another little envelope that was in the digital collection, and this little card, and I stamped a pineapple on there. And here's another little pocket, little side pocket with a tag. And then here is the last page, last couple pages. There's flashcard and Monopoly money, little pocket down there, and then on the back is another pocket with, this was some scrapbook paper. This was from the digital kit and I sewed it on. And then I added a card that I had stamped a sandcastle on, and then this has the beach pail, the sand. And that is it on this one. So this will be Little Swimmers number 1 in my Etsy shop. And let's go on to number 2. And we'll just go through this one real quick. I have lots of similar items. The vintage book pages, of course, will be different, but about the same amount of pages and the size and all that, and all the same book pages. I'm not sure if this was a newer version of the other one, because the other one, the pages were a little darker, so I'm assuming this is a newer version, but still old. I'm not sure. I'll put up on the screen here what the dates are for both of these. They're both in Roman numerals, and I don't have that memorized right now, so we'll see it in a little. You'll see it actually on the screen. But here is this one. And then another altered paint chip card. I used all the same paper, like the amounts of papers and types of papers, but the vintage are different, and I may have gotten them in a different order, but that doesn't really matter. This one will go a little bit quicker. This is fun with the under the sea image there. Added an extra ruffle piece that was left over. When I found this digital kit, I just thought that that was perfect. Here's one of the vintage fish cards in this one. This has this really cute little alligator in the, or I'm not sure if it's an alligator or crocodile. But I just thought that was adorable. And then here is the journaling card in that one. The music on this one is Over the Summer Sea, and on the back, this one isn't necessarily summer themed, but oh dear, what can the matter be? Oh, there's that. Here's one of the flannel graph pieces. Thought that was really fun. A little picnic table or an outdoor table with lemonade or whatever that is. And then here is the pog for this one, the fish. Oops. Here is the clear business envelope little pocket that I made in the video. This one has the whale flashcard. Put these in there. Here's the other vintage fish card, a parrotfish. That card tag. This is a fun little fish coloring book page. So you'll have to let me know down in the comments if you prefer one over the other. They are really similar. Here's the other flannel graph piece, and it is a barbecue. So these have like that velvety kind of fabric on the back, and they would have been up like on a board with flannel fabric on it, so they would stick up there. I used to teach with it in Awana. We had a set. And then we also taught with it at Good News Club when we had it at my daughter's elementary school. A lot of times now, teachers don't teach with that, but they use the videos or whatever. So that. Oh, I'm in a pocket. I apologize. I am yawning. Seemed like I had enough sleep last night. And here's the last page of that one. So that is it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing these. I will have the link for my Etsy shop down below. And hopefully you're able to check these out if you're interested in them. Otherwise, hopefully they give you inspiration for your own summer junk journals, give you some ideas. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Give me a thumbs up if you did. Leave me a comment and subscribe, and I'll see you again next time. This is Kim with Creative Crafticality. Bye. God bless.